Howdy, howdy. How's everybody doing tonight? Howdy, Tom. How you doing? Got some little bit of few things to show you here before we get started on gluing wood together. Yeah. Um. Anyways, little wonder update. I got the. I ain't gonna bring anything over. Not a whole lot has changed over there, except for the fact that you can see the airlines and stuff like that are all over there getting primed. We got all that done today. I started putting the yellow stripe on the wing, but I'm gonna paint that. I tried to brush it on, but it didn't come out real well. So I'm gonna mask the wing off tomorrow morning and get the yellow put on. So not a whole lot to show over there, even though I've been working on it all week. So, anyways, I thought I'd go over a little bit of what I'm going to be putting into my something extra build because I picked up some goodies over the last few weeks. I talked about it in the first episode with the electric conversion, and I picked up this 80 amp ESC from the from the swap meet in Urbana out there last weekend. I paid $20 for this. You can't beat that for a deal. And more importantly, it came with a BEC, which is a 8 amp BEC 2S, supplying 7.4 volts to your receiver. And why that is important is because I chose these high-tech HS430VH high voltage standard servos. These are really cheap. I don't remember what I paid for these. I bought 4 of these on the while High-Tech was having their buy 3 get 1 free. These are just the standard size servo. They are rated at, if I can read here, 70 inch ounces of torque at 7.4 volts. So that's going to be a very, very nice heavy duty servo for this plane. Again, you do not need to do this to to have it for your sport plane. A standard 3004 servo along those lines, 6 volt, will be just fine. This is just what I went with because I have a bunch of these and they're pretty nice servos. It's not a metal gear or nothing like that, just a high voltage servo. So we'll be putting those in there, and then I also while I was at the Urbana, Sullivan was there, so I'll be upgrading the tail wheel on it. There's nothing wrong with the tail wheel that comes with it, but it's a little on the chintzy side. So this is going to be a nice little upgrade. You'll notice it's a lot taller than the one that comes with the kit, and the reason for that is because last week I ordered the ARF landing gear for the 6 something extra. So to compare that to the stock one, you can see how much ground clearance that gains you. I mean, that's a good inch and a half, 2 inches right there over stock. And I did check it with the plans. Now I wasn't sure what the bolt pattern was going to do, but it does not line up with the factory ones. So this is quite a bit wider. It'll still fit in the undercarriage there. You just have to drill some new holes over the supplied ones that are pre-drilled in the kit. Not a big deal. I don't like to run metal landing gear bolts anyways. I usually drill these out for 1/4 20. So at that point, I'll probably just go in between these holes and drill 2 out in the middle here for 1/4 20, and then put a matching set of holes in and tap them for 1/4 20. The reason why I do that is if you get into a have a bad landing situation and you rip the gear out, if you have metal gear in there, there's no give and it'll rip the plate right out with it, causing a lot more damage to the airplane. So running 1/4 20 wing bolts in there is plenty strong enough for a normal landing, even a little bit one that's a little on the rough side. But if, for instance, if you come in too hard and you pancake, you're going to rip the bolts. You're not going to rip the plate out. So you could, go in there, remove the 2 or 3 bolts that you would use to pull these in, put new bolts in, and then you're back flying again. As long as your wheel pants don't put any holes in your wings, it's not a big ordeal. So that's a nice upgrade that, especially with the electric um, upgrade I'm going to do, I'm going to be able to run a much bigger prop. So that brings me to the motor size. I know I have had some people question how to convert something extra over, so I'm going to get on my phone here real quick, and Innovative Designs website. I don't know if you can see that or not. There you go. Innovative Designs on here. Now, you don't have to buy through these guys, but they have a really good glow to electric conversion right here on the top screen right there. And you can use that to compare the brushless motor that they're recommending, to other brands. So I already determined that I was going to go with the 45 size electric. That's not going to focus, but the 45 glow engine powers 900 watts. It's a badass 3520 970 kV. So if you're not too familiar with what the numbers mean, 3520 is the diameter and distance of the motor, and the kV is how many revolutions per volt that it will turn without a prop on it. So, you know, the thing you can notice here between the 45, the 50, and the 55 size conversions is they all use that 3520 motor. But when you go, it's the kV that changes. So for the 45 size, they're running a 970 kV, and for the 50 size, they're running a 790 kV. And the same applies to the 55 size. The only difference between the 50 or the 45 size engine and the 50 size engine is you go up in voltage. So think of your voltage in an electric power system as how much power the airplane is going to produce. So that's your horsepower. And the milliamp is how long that tank's going to last. So the more voltage you got, the more that RPM is going to spin. So, like I said, 970 kV, 970 RPMs per volt. So with the 45 size engine, it would run a 10.8 prop, but you go up to the 50 and it runs a little bit bigger, 11.55. The bigger the prop you run, the less kV you want to run, because that's where motors kind of get their efficiency at. So I got to decide now. I don't want to go 5 cell, and that's what the 50 size glow engine, 50 size power plant would provide. I would have to go to a 5 cell pack. I want to keep with my 4S pack because they're a little bit more affordable. And so we're going to just stay with the 45 size. Yeah, 750 watts per pound for 3D. Yep. So we're going to stay with that 45 size glow engine, 900 watts. And that's running a 10.8E prop. Now, 750 watts per pound, we can do a little bit of math on the something extra here, because it says, I think on the front piece, how many pounds should it weigh? Can anybody tell me? Wait, we'll go with the heavy, 5 pounds is what it should come out. So let's do the calculator here. So 750 watts per pound, so times 5. So 3750 would give us 3,750 watts would give us our 3D zone. And let's see, that's a lot of watts. You sure it's 750? So 3,750 watts. Boy, you're okay. Just sent you a picture of the. Okay. Yep, I got it here. Oh, gotcha. Okay. Cool. Thank you, Tom. Boy, you would have to really put a big ass motor on this thing. I don't know. They're saying 360 size. That's a big engine. Anyways, I'm not going for 3D anyways, but that we're looking for a good aerobatic airplane. I don't think the Wonder was probably could be made into a 3D monster with mods and really lightening the airframe up, but we're not going there. So I will be eventually getting a 3520 with somewhere around the 900 to 1000 kV motor for mine. So you can keep that in mind. The reason why I bring all that up is because as soon as we get the rudder done today, hopefully we can get the rudder built. I'm positive we can do that. That's not a big thing. We're going to start prepping for the wing panel to get put in, and it is not a bad idea that you have at least at this point servos to go into it. Now the wings, it's probably going to take us maybe 3 episodes to do to get the wings all framed up and ready to go, but you will want your servos at least to go in there to make sure that the servo rails that they provide are going to have enough rim to drop in. You want to be pre-fitting some of this stuff because you might have to go in there and sand it out. When we get going on the wing, you're gonna need a motor. That's the first step. You don't necessarily need it, but it's a good idea to have it so that way. Let's see, what does he say? 50 watts per pound. Very slow flyers, glider, 50 to 70 watts per pound. Park flyers, basic trainers, 70, 90. Yeah, trainers. Yeah, 210. Okay. 150 to 200 plus watts per pound for unlimited 3D performance. So, we're 5 pounds, and the 45 size is a 900 watt motor. Thanks for your help in that. I'm not an electric guru. So, if we get, let's see, 900 watts and divide that by 5, we're going to be 180. So, we're right in that area. If you want to, so the big things with making the Somethin extra even a little somewhat 3D capable, because you got to remember it's got a real short coupled rear from the rear wing to the elevator. They call that a short coupled wing. Yeah, Google for sure. It's very short coupled. The other downfall of the Somethin extra is it's got for a 3D plane, it's got very small surfaces. Aileron, elevator, rudder, all of them are very small. You could increase them. You're building the plane. I mean, we could add an inch or two to every surface and make it bigger. Not a problem. And weight. So the Somethin extra is built a little heavier for sport flying as opposed to 3D flying. So you could cut back on some of the weight by going with carbon fiber reinforcements. You could, there's lots of stuff you could do to lose weight. Yeah, no problem. Yeah. So anyways, we're going to be in that kind of range now. Something that I've been thinking about doing today is adding more rudder area since we're going to be in that, building that today. My twin up here, knife edge is like unbelievably well, but it's got 2 rudders. And but my stock version, it doesn't knife edge very well. It won't. It's so short coupled and it has such little area that it just doesn't get in. It doesn't lock into that knife. It roll couples real bad and everything. So I think I'm going to play around with that a little bit, and I think I'm going to add a little bit of area to that, which we don't have to do tonight. I'll build it stock, and then when I get I got to make sure I got wood, the right thickness wood to get to get the more area out of it. But I can talk. So, anyways, where did we leave off at here? We were building the elevator. Yep. So let me get the camera set up like we had it before. Apologize if you're watching on your TV. I'm not trying to make you dizzy or nothing. Everybody seemed to like this view. There we go. Okay, so I set this up here just to kind of prove that, we do have enough gap in here for the counterbalances that I put into it last time. And like I said, I'm not going to work on this when I'm not on live stream. So we're just going to basically pick up where we left off here and pull the elevator off. And let's see how straight she came out. If you remember right, I used 30-minute epoxy to epoxy in the joiner tube there. And of course, a little bit of it stuck. But, well, she's straight. That's good. I'm a little proud on that, but I'm not too worried about that if the gaps aren't too bad. So we can we can have a little fun here. And yay, I think she'll go up and down now. So anyways, we're gonna set this stuff aside and find a good place to start parking your parts at, because it's going to be a while before we're going to probably need those again. And we're going to I'm going to save the wax paper because it'll work just fine with my rudder, but you're going to want to get out your wing plans and get the rudder, the fuselage plans out, and those are not on here. So we want the fuselage side for our rudder here. And Tom sent me a picture of his plans, and they are indeed have been changed over the years. And his elevator was in a different, or his elevator stabilizer assembly was in a different spot. So, and the logos were a little differently. So somebody came along at one point in time and redesigned everything. All right, so there's that. We did skip over one part on the elevator, but we will get back to it. So we are going to, I think we're at number 27. Yep. Vertical fin and rudder are built in much the same manner as the stabe and elevators. From your laser cut parts, locate VF1, VF2, and VF3 parts for the fin, and R1, R2, R3, and R4 for rudder posts. Also locate the 1/4 by 1/2 inch by 12 inch balsa tail post used for the trailing edge of the fin. Cover the plan with wax paper. Cut the 1/4 by 1/2 inch tail post to length as shown in the plan. Save the leftover piece for use as a spacer during fuselage construction, and pin it in place directly over its location on the plan. Note that the tail post extends down through the rear of the fuselage to the top surface of the ply hardwood point doubler. Glue VF1 in place to the edge of the tail post. Glue VF2 in place to the forward edge of VF1, and glue VF3 in place to the top of VF1, VF2 parts against the tail post. That's all this stuff. So that's what I'm going to have to find now, is that I didn't realize that there was more wood. So we got that, that, and that. Okay. Don't forget your wax paper. Now, Tom said, after we talked after last week's live, that he said he didn't even bother pinning anything down on the elevator and stabilizer. He just glued everything together in place because it does literally just lock into place. See, I mean, this is all laser cut stuff, and the only thing that you need these plans for at this point is for that tail post. So I need to go find that. I know it's in here somewhere. They put. I was out flying my Ultra Sport last weekend, and it's just sitting here leaning up against the table, and now it doesn't want to cooperate, even though it's been sitting there for 3 days. And how in the heck can we go from, this weather pattern that we're in is crazy. I mean, it was 40s and dreary today, and it's going to be 70 tomorrow, and then they're calling for snow by the end of next week. It's crazy. So anyways, I'm pretty sure that SIG put all of their sticks into this pile. So we are looking for, what was it? 1/4 by 1/2. That should stick out pretty well here. In fact, I think this is it right here. Quarter. Are you sure it's 1/4 by 1/2? Yeah. Yep, that's 1/2. Yep, that's 1/4. You want to make sure that when you're building these things that you definitely have the right measurements, because you could, in theory, cut the wrong piece and then come short in your kit. Okay, so anyway, they said go cut right here to make sure you're including your hardwood point delta right here. So, and that's where your tail wheel will bolt into. Now, because I'm going aftermarket, I might have to change that and make it a little bit bigger. But I'm just going to sit here and eyeball this, and then it's good practice to get your straight edge out. Go ahead and line that cut up. Make sure you're happy with it. I'm pretty happy with that. You could cut this with a knife, but if you don't have a handsaw, I highly recommend you get one. Like it said, save that piece for later. That looks pretty good there. So we're going to go a little out of order because I'm basically going to show you that you really don't need to pin any of this stuff down. We got good fitment like we did on our elevator. We don't have any really serious gaps here. So we'll go ahead and glue these two together. The biggest thing is just making sure you're flat. You don't want to introduce any warps into it. You want to make sure that you're nice and flat on your edges here. Because if you're high here, then you're low on the other side, right? Okay, that's pretty good. That's well within the range of sanding. Now I'm going to introduce my counterbalance, so I need to mark where my tail post is going to go in relation to the top of this piece here, because this is going to become my counterbalance over here, like with the stabilizer. So I'm going to glue this on, and then I'll cut that piece free. And there again, I could do it a different way. I could cut it now or glue it to the top. Whatever floats your boat there. Okay. I'll cut this nice and straight. Okay. Then, like with the elevator, at this point, if you're not doing the counterbalances, you should be gluing VF3 onto the top. Okay. And I take the little knob, I glue it in place, so that way I don't have to worry about filling it in. There's a rudder. And then we'll glue this guy on here so we can have the necessary width. And I'm pretty sure all this is just going to snap right into place for your rudder. So R3, R4 down here, R1. We'll just dry fit all this together. And R2. Looks pretty good, huh? Okay. Let's go ahead and start with the bottom. I'll go ahead and glue R4 in. I did that a couple of times already. If you ain't got glue on your fingers or balsa wood and glue on your fingers, you ain't doing it right. And see, like I said, it'll stick to your wax paper, but it won't stick to your plans as bad. Okay. Make sure we got everything in the right orientation here, and then we'll go ahead and glue R2 in. And I'm just holding this in different areas here just to make sure that everything's getting nice and tight in here. Like I got my finger over here pulling this way, finger here pulling this way. It really doesn't take too long to put this together. And then I'm going to go ahead and at this point I'll glue my counterbalance on to the front of my rudder here. I'm not too worried about spacing in here right now, because I'll adjust that with my hinging on this guy. And when I'm doing CA hinges and something like this, I wait till the very end. It'll be all covered and everything will be ready to go. Okay, there's that. Just like that. That'd take about 10 minutes. So another thing that, okay, so now that we got all that done, 27's all done. And of course we already got 28 done because everything's glued together there. So you'll locate, from your parts bag, locate the two 1-inch lengths of 5/16 inch diameter center drill wood dowels. And I'm pretty sure that was in the box of stuff that I put away, or the bag. Yep. So you are looking, I'll get you close here. You can see that these are got holes down through the center of them. They're not very long. They're going to be in your parts bag. Did you find them, Tom? Is there anybody else that's building along with me? Yeah, it is a lot easier than cutting stick built. On my Twin Wonder, I stick built all of these, and I find it rather therapeutic to stick build stuff. But the sheets are definitely way easier for construction. So what we're going to do here is we found the two 1-inch lengths of 5/16. These are your hard points for your tail wires. Insert one of these dowels in the laser cut hole fin so it bottoms out on the hole. So what we're going to do here is this hole right here. And you might need to work a little bit to get it in there. It's better to be a little proud of that and out a little bit than completely flush. You can always sand the excess away later. These aren't fitting too bad. And then we're going to get a mark out here. Now I like to get an idea of where, I don't know if you guys can see that or not, where my mark is at in relation to my hole, and I'm just on the outside of the wood there. So we're going to cut to the line, not cut the line off. Now if you had a scroll saw or something like that, this would make this a lot easier. I tend to, when I'm cutting stuff like this out, get a good tight grip on your dowel rod and just make a couple scores so that way you can start sawing at it. Dowel rod to me is one of the trickiest things to cut. But if you don't have a scroll saw or bandsaw, this is how you would do that. And you're just looking at your line here and making sure that you're nice and square in there. And we're going to have to make 3 of these. Yeah, I'm already getting frustrated. I'm about halfway through. How's everybody doing today? We seem to have a bunch of people in here right now. Let's see here. Oh, that's weird. Okay. Like I said, you can see how kind of frustrating this can be to cut. There we go. And don't lose it. It's a little piece of wood. And then we'll do a test fit. And just make sure she's in there and we got good coverage. And this is the part where you got to work a little quick. We're going to dribble a little bit of CA around the edge here. I don't know why, but when you go to insert stuff like this, it seems to dry faster than thick or thin CA. See? Oh, there you go, Tom. I'm holding it. I'm holding it. I got it. Okay, so what these do are hard points for your flying wires. You're going to put, when the assembly comes around, you'll put a screw through here and it'll have a flying wire assembly. That's where we're going to need our stabilizer again. And basically we're going to do the same thing here. Now this is going to be I'll try to show this. This is going to be a triangulated. I'm sure everybody in here is familiar with flying wires, what they do. These do work. They do provide structure to the back part of the tail. I did not have them on the twin when I first built them, and that thing back there fluttered like you would not believe. So that was one of the first upgrades I made to it after test flying it, was adding the flying wire brace kit back there. So anyways, I went ahead and marked this other one. And I am going to go ahead and take this over to my scroll saw and give it a quick nip because it won't take that long. So I know I didn't show you, but when I'm doing that in my scroll saw, I literally hold it with my two fingers like this and ease it through, because the hole in the bottom of my scroll saw is bigger than this piece would ever be, and that way I never lose it, because you will definitely spend an hour looking for it after you cut it. So you just got to be a little careful with the blade, is all. So I'm going to go ahead and glue this guy in. There we go. And we got one more. This guy's going to be really tiny, a little sliver that we're taking off of it. So I'll hold that like that, and I'm not going to worry about that. That's just really tiny that I'm going to take off there. I almost could take that over to the belt sander and sand it. And of course mine went to twang, and let's see. Oh, maybe I ain't got to look forever to find it. I found it. the piece I needed went flying, and the one that I didn't stayed in my finger. There's always a building. Let's make sure this fits. Looks pretty good. Okay, there we go. Everything's installed. Not going to worry too much about sanding, but I know they kind of go over something that I do. They kind of go over adding fiberglass tape to where your control horns are at. I actually do need my thin for this. So let me get it. So anyways, I don't like that idea of putting fiberglass around here. They recommend that you wrap this with fiberglass so that way you can have a hard point here. So when you glue or when you screw your control horns in, you don't crush the balsa wood. This is pretty soft stuff here. Something that I learned years ago. And if you're worried about it, I mean, if you're careful, I've never had a problem not adding the reinforcements, but you take your little pin here and you just put a lot of little peck holes in around it. Like so. You don't have to go very deep. And then you grab your thin CA and you go around your peck marks. And that thin CA will wick down into the holes there, and it'll harden this, and you do it to both sides. And what that does is that makes it hard, so that way when you screw your horn in here, it'll give it something to bite against, and it won't collapse your balsa wood. Okay, let that soak in there a little bit. Yep, that's a pro tip right there. And let that soak in there, and then once it's dry, you sand this, and it'll be a hard point, and you'll never see it. The fiberglass tape would be extremely hard to blend in and make it disappear. So that's why it's still in my box from my last kit, because I didn't add the CA to that either, or the fiberglass with the thin CA. So it basically does the same thing. It does take a little bit for it to dry. You can see it sitting there on my finger there. But that's what I do on my joints. So, and I will do the same on my elevator here. Now, as far as epoxy or fiberglassing in, I know they show doing later. I don't think they even show this right now, but they also show doing the fiberglass tape reinforcement around your wire joiner. I don't do that either. I just use 30-minute epoxy, and that's plenty good enough for strength in there. I don't know why SIG recommended doing that with the fiberglass, but I mean, if you're really going to go down and 3D this thing, then for servos you might be running 2 minis in the tail instead of one standard, so you wouldn't even have a joiner. There we go. like I said, all I'm doing, I don't know if you guys can make that out or not, but I am just pecking it out. And then make a little Sensier around there, and then let it dry. You can wipe it with your fingers. If you don't want CA glue on your fingers, you can use a towel or something. So, all right. Where are we at? 45 minutes. Okay, so what we need to do next is next weekend we are going to, like I said, we're going to start on the wing. I'm going to go ahead and put this away because I do believe you need this for the cowl or for the canopy. So what we're going to do next is we're going to switch gears here a little bit. We're going to clean our table off because now's a good time to do that. But we need to do some prep for the wings before we get started on them. You're going to need a little bit more of an area here to for your wing plans. I went my boss wood. I'll take it back in the box. Okay. Wing plans. That's these plans. Which one are we going to start with? How about the left wing? Now I'm going to fold mine over just so you guys can kind of see what I'm doing here. I have tried to come up with a way where you're not looking at it upside down, but I'm a pretty decent builder, but I don't think I can build a wing upside down. If I can get these things to cooperate, that is. Yep. We don't necessarily need the plans right now, but I think they're going to be helpful. Like I said, you're going to need a little bit more space here for these guys. I wonder what that's for. Oh, I know what that's for. That is the dowel for the canopy. That's important. Don't lose that, Mikey. I could trim this a little bit, but not 100% needed. Okay, so that looks like a pretty good layout. I don't have the completely have the aileron, but the aileron gets built much the same manner as the stabilizer and elevators did. The tail section. So we're gonna jump ahead to the wing construction. And so and what we're gonna do is we're gonna start prepping for the spars here. So we're gonna need our sticks here. At this point, I know a lot of these sticks go into the wing, so we're gonna get them all out. I like to set everything up on my leading edge of my wing up here. Like there's all this is our spar cap or cap strips here. And like I think this is for our cowl and fuselage, so I'm going to set these guys, these 4 short sticks and the tri-stock. I know for sure for the firewall. I'm going to throw them in the box because I know I won't need those. So what we're going to do is we're going to locate the 4 1/4-inch square by 24-inch sticks and the 4 1/4-inch square by 11. And that might have been the one that I just threw in the box. Let's see. Having a tape measure is definitely handy. So yep, these are our 11 inchers here. And they are 1/4-inch squares. So we're looking for 4 more 1/4-inch square by 24-inch sticks, which I think are these. That's 24.5. So that might be for something else, but I'm pretty sure that all of these are the same length. Ah. So that one's shorter and it's smaller, so we'll take that one out of the mix. I think that goes with that. Yep. Then we got these 2 guys here. You want to make sure that when you're measuring out that, if the book says 24 inches, you want to make sure that you don't have any that are exactly 24 inches. So, here's our leading edge stock here. And this is all probably going to be the same size. So we got, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 1/4-inch sticks, and we only need 4 of them, and they're all the same length. So we're going to grab 4 of these. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 4 of those, and set the rest of these off to the side. Okay, that's important that you do that. Years and years ago, I was building a SIG riser, and I thought I had the right stick for the spars, and I built the wing all together, and then later on I needed another stick and I couldn't find it, and then I finally found it in my wing. So that cost me a trip to the hobby shop and a piece of spruce to replace it, because it was it was just not quite the right size they didn't intermingle. One was longer than the other, and I used the long one first instead of using the short one first and then saving the long one for later. So, yeah. So anyways, what we're going to do here is sticks from kit. These will become the top and bottom wing spars. Trim the 4 11-inch sticks to a length of 10 5/8 and glue 1 10 5/8 onto one end of one of the 24-inch spars to create a laminated spar. Repeat this procedure with the remaining 3 spars. Note that the laminated ends of each spar, now measuring 1/4 by 1/2 in cross section, will be the inboard ends. So they're talking about this guy right here, right? On the spar. Now it's highlighted on the plans. I know you're probably going to have a hard time reading this upside down, but right here it says just inside of W4, spar doubler ends here. So instead of measuring, because to me 10 5/8 is a little off, I'm going to go ahead and set my spar in place. This might take a little bit more time, but it sure beats having a mismeasurement and not having the spar where the designer needed it, intended it for it to go. So I'm going to cross pin this down in 2 bays past the doubler. I try not to, I don't like to pin through my spar, directly through it, because when you pin through it, you're creating a weak spot. So that's where I get into these cross pins. I'll show you a little closer here, because this is, to me, super important. Let's see, where are we at here? Right there. Kind of like that. Okay. That looks good. A little crooked. There we go. So anyways, I'm going to do that, and then I'm going to take my piece of 11-inch spar, and I can glue that right there, but I want to double check with my wing bag. Okay, and I got my ribs here. Remember, I stacked all these together, and I want to find 4. So there's 3, and you can see it still has the tall spar on it, and there's 4, and it ends. So by having that knowledge, I can literally line it up with the plans on 4 and then glue this down. And I know it's going to be flat, I know it's going to be straight, and I know it's going to be in the right area. And I also know I'm not going to over or undercut it, because when I go to build the airplane, I'll put all my ribs in. I'm just going to leave this spar down. I'll put all my ribs in here and build my wing, and then when I get done, I will nip this off and nip this off at the end. This is your wingtip for the something extra, and it has no spars in there, so you got to nip this off and then plate this on top of it. And the same for W1, but W1, you got W1A and W1 here. And evidently I haven't found my W1s yet. They must still be in the box. But I know W1A's got the highness for the double spar, but I do believe W1 just gets glued onto the end. So after all that explaining, just run yourself wrong bottle. Where's my thick at? I'll run that down. Kind of eyeball it with the plans here, and that's why I try to keep the Sensei out of my reach so I don't grab it by mistake. Just hold that down for a little bit, and then yeah, that's what I thought it was. I thought it was capped. That's probably why I haven't found it yet. It's probably in my other plywood box. So now, oh crap, the T-pin ain't tall enough. So that means I need to go get my taller T-pins. So I got these big. They make small, medium, and large. These are smalls, and these are larges. They're a lot bigger of a pen, and they work great for doing this stuff because these aren't tall enough to reach that doubler now that it's, what, a half inch or whatever thick. And then what I'm going to do for my top spar, now I'm not going to do all 4 of them right now. I'm going to just do 2 of them because we're just going to start on this left wing panel. But basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to line my upper spar up with my, or my lower, my upper spar. I'm going to line it up with the edge of the wing tube here. And I'm going to put a pin in here in the front. And hang that guy tight. And then down here, I'm going to pin it on the other side just so that way it's kind of nestled in there. Okay? Like that. And then I'm going to grab, I hope you got a straight edge, Tom. I'm going to grab my straight edge. And as long as I can keep this thing in a somewhat of a straight line here with that tube, I'll see if I got any warp in this thing, like warp that way or whatnot. That looks really good. It's a little off down here. I'm going to go ahead and put 1 pin in down here. Okay. Now that I know that's tight up against there, I can go ahead and cross pin this thing, and I know it's going to be straight. This isn't 100% accurate out here. It's more, got to be more accurate in here where you're going to put that doubler at. So, and then I'm going to come down a little bit and put a T-pin, put a cross pin in here. Now that I got glue all over my hands, I can't feel the damn pin in my hand. Okay, we can remove those. And again, make sure that's kind of straight. And we'll grab our 24-inch piece just like we did before, or 11-inch, and glue it into place, and lining it up with that the end of W4 there. All right. There you go. Time to go back on the tripod. Like my new shoes? Well, that wasn't too bad, was it? So we got the rudder finished up and ready for final sanding. Your homework for the week is if you want to start sanding on them guys and smoothing everything out, and radius in those edges like it says in the book to do. No, yep, Converse. That's all I wear. My wife says I got a bigger shoe collection than she does. And we got started on the spars for the wing. That's going to be a big step ahead because, um, you know, and next weekend when we get next Saturday night, yeah, next Saturday night when we reconvene here, we'll be able to lay all our ribs out. That's going to go real quick. I would imagine by within the hour that we'll have our rib set, we'll have the spars set, and we'll probably have our leading and trailing edges in place. Might be getting ahead of myself a little bit, but I think that's where we're going to be at. I kind of estimate that we're going to spend a couple episodes on each wing panel. Of course, the second one will probably go a little easier since we've already done the first one. We still got some steps to do with the wing tube in there. We'll start off with that next weekend and then just go on pace by pace. I plan on using a couple of different techniques for building the wing. The wing is more traditional, unlike the rest of the airplane is like what I mean by traditional. It's not tabbed together. If you have ever built a 4-star 60, you'll know what I'm talking about, because even the 4-star 60, the wing it's interlocked. You really can't, not picking on you, Tom, can't really screw that plane up too much, because everything, it starts, I think you pin the spars down, and then, the web bracing is all one piece, and it's laser cut to accept all the wing ribs. Everything's set in stone on that. So this one's a little more traditional. You got to pay a little bit more attention to 90s and straight lines and stuff like that. But I'm watching. I tease Tom a lot because he kind of screwed up the 4-star. Not to put it on the internet, Tom. But anyways, so we'll reconvene next Saturday night. I'm really hoping that the Twin Wonder is done with paint and maybe into final assembly. Watch the Wednesday night video. I'm not quite done with the canopy on the Wonder. If you haven't caught that episode yet, I just put that out Wednesday night for the canopy. Putting the canopy on your plane. I hope everybody likes what I'm doing with that. The other one thing I got before everybody goes, and I got to pick some brains here because, I was really good friends with Hazel. I knew her for many years, as a lot of people know. We weren't, I didn't call her every week, of course, but when we were around each other, we always talked and everything. But anyways, Tom suggested that I put Hazel's name on the airplane underneath the pilot canopy that we picked. And anyways, my thought on that is that would be cool and everything, but I don't want to disrespect Hazel and her legacy by putting it on a plane that she didn't really design, and SIG never did. And I also don't want to disrespect her by trying to put a pilot in there that might look like her. So I thought by putting Hazel's name on there would be kind of like an honor to her. But I thought what I would do is, instead of making the canopy clear, I would paint the outline of the canopy like the framework aluminum, and then just spray the whole thing black so you can't see inside there. What do you guys think about that? Yes or no? Yeah, that's what I think too. Wife gave it a thumbs up, and I think it would be Yeah, no pilot. Yep. Like I said, I thought I would paint the whole inside black so that way you can't really see inside of it. It's no longer a clear canopy. You know, she's in there, but you can't see her. Yeah. Okay, so we're gonna add that to the list of things that I got to do to that Wonder before it goes up to goes up to Toledo here in 3 weeks. So, anyways, I want to thank everybody for watching. Thanks for the feedback, and again, if you're watching this on the rerun, hope your build's progressing well. And if you have any questions or comments, feel free to email me directly at mcsaplik@yahoo.com. Yeah, line. Yep. And or comment down below if whatever suits your fancy. So, anyways, we'll talk to you guys later, and we'll see you next Saturday night at 8.